Hey, what is up, everyone? Jeff Bosley here with a little bit of, I don't want to say behind the actor's studio or inside the actor's studio. Maybe that should be it, behind the actor's studio. But until I come up with a better idea, a little bit of Hollywood insight that sometimes can be translated as a cautionary tale and might also just be interpreted as me bitching and whining. But in this case today, it's about the casting and audition process. And I actually am going to try to say all of the following in a relatively, from a relatively objective point of view. Um, Obviously, I'm a little bit hostile about it or a little butthurt about it here and there. But overall, the stuff I wanted to share here, it comes from, that weird sound was a dog yawning. It comes from a place of I've actually taken notes in the past, and I actually copy and paste this thing I'm looking at here on my another screen. When people say, and I appreciate it when they're like, "Hey, you should." God, even this week, multiple times they're like, "Hey, you should be in this." I'm like, "Dude, I wish it was that easy." Or like, "Hey," like one dude the other day. And again, all this, I appreciate it. Don't stop saying it because it gets me out of bed. But like, one guy the other day goes, give up on acting. You should start directing. I was like, I wish it were that easy. It's not just like applying to the gas station down the street. So I just kind of want you to join in me as I kind of delve deep into the secrets of Hollywood casting, and not that they don't necessarily want you to find out, but that they may not necessarily share. Because it's one of the most important and crucial aspects of the entertainment industry. Let me look at my notes here. It's really frustrating because it's not a secret, but it's also like nobody knows about it. It's one of the biggest misconceptions about casting is that talent guarantees success, and I think everybody can agree in multiple fields that's not the case. And if you're a great actor, you're automatically going to land roles, right? No, it's not that way at all. And the truth is, talent is just one small part of the equation. There are so many other factors that play that can make or break not even the audition itself, but just getting the audition. So I'm going to kind of go through my notes here, and it's a short kind of copy paste as far as the gatekeepers of the audition process. And that's not to say there are casting directors. There may be, I don't know, but that's not what I'm saying. Is that it's not to say that there are casting directors, spinning their evil genius mustaches and saying, "Oh, screw this guy's career." They may exist. I don't know. Just a sec, I'm gonna fix this camera a little bit. I don't like how that looks. So they may exist, but that's not what I'm actually saying. I'm saying the some unspoken gatekeeping that exists. And so it's kind of a bulleted list because I want to keep it simple, but also, feel free to, in the comments below, comment, question, and converse. But from the start. So, and this is very kind of bullet point and just kind of to the point. So if you're in the film industry, I'm probably glazing over a few points just to kind of keep it succinct. But if you're not in the industry and you want more elaboration, please feel free to interrogate. I'm trying to find a happy medium here. So the film or the show exists, it's created. So then the roles are created. And I'm basically reading this note here, but I might actually put it in the show notes below. But so then the opportunity for the role then often goes first to in-agency actors. So if like a famous director or writer is in a certain agency, they're going to cast within their agency or offer roles contractually, no auditions or, stuff like that. So it's going to first go to those people, name actors, hot at the time actors, known actors who ask for the role, or connected actors or actors under multi-picture contract deals with the studios. And a lot of people don't even know that. So like you'll see some actor or actress get a role, and then you'll see them do, and it'll like change their life, change their career. And then they'll make this seemingly weird decision about a job way after that. And it's like, well, because sometimes they might have actually signed on for a multi-picture deal. It's kind of like, well, hey, I'm not saying it's Tom Holland, but just in this example, they might be like, "Hey, Tom Holland, do you want to play Spider-Man?" Deal. But you got to do these other two pictures. And a lot of times they might not even know what they are. So it's kind of like, would you do it? Hell yeah. But then also that could also mean you could make a dog shit movie. So then the roles are released to certain tiered agencies like TIER, like so leveled. Of my buddy and I have cast actors for our films, And you can, within various casting sites, and when I say casting sites, that's the classifieds in the acting world. On various casting sites, you can actually select who gets to see it, essentially. That's the simplified version. So does WMA, William Morris, or WME, William Morris, Endeavor, or Entertainment, I can't remember. Like, that's Stallone's agency. There's CAA, ICM, like the giant Tom Cruise agencies. Like, so sometimes it might only be released to those certain tier agencies. So I have an amazing agent, and it's no fault of hers, but so if a role isn't released to her tier, so to speak, we don't even know it exists, unless if they've kept it under wraps, or, unless there's some nerd stalking going on, but it'll be released to a certain tier of agency. So then if you're in that tier of the agency, your agent then needs to see the role and audition. And again, none of this, this is actually, I'm trying to keep this pretty objective. So there's no like underlying like gripe towards my agent or anything like that. But they're human. So they have to see it in their crazy busy day of everything they do, which is chaos. So then they have to see it. So we're already starting to chip away at the statistics here, or the odds. And then they have to submit you the audition. So that's those two are given. I like, my agents are amazing. I trust they'll see it, and if it applies to me, they'll submit. That's kind of like, for me, my warm and fuzzy. Crazy anomaly ahead of time. If it goes to in-agency or multi-picture contract people or super famous people first, I have no say over that. The section of agents seeing it and submitting me, I have a huge warm and fuzzy. I trust that happens. Then, here's where it just kind of goes to shit. The studio then receives that submission, or the casting director receives that submission. Then they decide if they'll even let you audition. So just because you submit to the audition doesn't even mean you're going to get the audition. So then of course they're going to weed out people there before they even audition. So thousands of people could submit, and they got to weed it down to like 50 or some, number I'm pulling out of my butt here. So then they decide to let you, if they'll let you even do the audition. Then if you get authorized, quote unquote, to do the audition, you do it, you submit it, and then they have to watch them all. And odds are it's some casting associate, somebody that's swamped, they're busy as hell. How many times have we all just been sitting there watching TV and like, 30 minutes have passed and you missed the plot? Now imagine doing that for 8 hours, watching the same people do the same audition scene for 8 hours a day for, 2 or 3 days for a role. It's human nature. You're going to get you're just going to get dumb. And so now we're starting to look into the human error element here. So they might watch them, but they might not remember. I had one casting director, I'm not knocking her because this is just human. She's like, she told me, she goes, I wasn't even paying attention to the last 3 auditions. I was like, why? She goes, I had to pee. That makes sense. How many of us have had to like go to the bathroom and just been not even focused on anything that was happening? So then, let me think. Yeah, so they got to watch them all. So giant cuts are even made at this phase. And you don't even know, by the way, huge asterisks to all this. They don't tell you. If you get it, you get told, because they have to schedule and coordinate and all that. If you don't get it, no idea, just silence. So the giant cuts are made. You don't know if you're still part of it, you're or not. Then they bring in the remainder for the callbacks. So that's kind of like after your first cuts and tryouts, if you will, for us sports people. So essentially you audition again. They're just weeding it out. And then they'll play Tetris with the characters and the actors to see how they fit, how they look, how they interact. It could be as superficial as like, do these people look good together? And then as deep and emotional as, do these people like interact together great as humans? Then they'll make more cuts. And then they take the remainder of those cuts and do chemistry reads with the other actors to see who may or may not, who get to be cast at this point. Then more are cut. And again, these steps can be massively abbreviated depending on the project. Like Scott and I, we audition, we do a callback, and that's kind of all we got time to do. We can't afford to pay casting directors. So more cuts are made after that. Then they take the remainders of those, do the chemistry reads, then more are cut. Then the remainder / chosen ones are submitted up to higher, the big wigs. This is still in the casting office at this point. Then more cuts. Then if they're down to like a handful, then a weeding out process is when the agent and the contract and the studio and everybody discusses contracts, because that could weed out people. They're like, we can't afford that, or we can, or whatever. So that logistical step could end up cutting people. So more cuts are there. and so on and so on. So sadly, it's not even up to me. I'm reading my notes here. So sadly, it's not even up to me to even get the audition, let alone see it. Like, I'd love to be that way for me and all my acting friends and friends. So I love, and I know every actor that I speak on behalf of, like, we love hearing "you should be in" stuff, like the "you should be in." The amount of times I've been told on any Taylor Sheridan project, "Jeff, you should be in." I'm like, I agree. And for those who know me, I'm trying to keep this objective. I'm a huge movie nerd, and so like I like a lot of the things people say you should be in, not because I'm like, oh, I want a paycheck or I want to act, which I do, but it's also like, that looks like a fucking awesome movie. Of course I'd want to be in that. But it's not that easy. So, it means a lot to me. I know I need it when people say that, because it means like people still believe in me, because, turn off the objective part of the video right now. I don't believe in myself at this point. So it is very needed. Not in a ego stroke, external, validation way, but just in a like, this industry is, I've never been anything where work in doesn't equal work out. And, the statistics are through the roof. It's, I had a statistic. I thought I'd pulled it up. I can't find it. I thought I had one. Yeah. So like, I keep track of this on my own records, and I don't want to pull it up because it honestly depresses me, but I've done the math at one point. I even did a post on Instagram where, like, I was on screen as a character in a certain year, the year I decided to do this horrendous math, like 3 minutes. And I had worked total that year, maybe 2 weeks for that you get paid for your working time, not how much time you're on screen, which is why I tell people when I roll my eyes at famous people and they're like, oh, all my scenes were cut. I'm like, well, you still got paid. So shut up. Things could be worse, know your audience. But yeah, it's a highly disproportionate thing. For a parallel, it would be like submitting to not, MD jobs, but just pick your average Tractor Supply or what would you say, like entry level jobs, because acting, they don't like say you must have gone to this much school. Anybody can audition, assuming they open the audition up to, that audience. And that's where resumes come in. Like, this person's done anything, so why risk it? Or sometimes they'll take a risk. But let's just say, for the sake of parallels, let's just say it's entry level job, Tractor Supply, gas station attendant, whatever. It would be like auditioning for 500 to 1,000, or not auditioning, turning in job applications, and maybe every 500 ish or couple hundred you get a job interview, let alone get the job after maybe 1,000. Even if I'm overstating the numbers, cut it in half. That's still absurd. So that's kind of how it is, and beside, so personal connections, I'll just, a couple like, deeper whatever, elaborations, I should say. So typecasting is going to be a thing, and it can be devastating and or make a actor's career. Because I argue typecasting, that means you're working. And then there's the issue of looks. And let's face it, like, Hollywood is physical appearance. It just is. Actors have to fit a certain mold, and then there's a specific body type, and then skin tone, even hairstyles, and it's not always fair. Like in this industry, I've literally been told I reminded a casting director of their ex, and so they couldn't see past that. So as a result, personal connections, it's not who you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. If you got a friend or family in the industry, we all roll our eyes at the nepotism, but if Scott and I should be a little bit more hippie-ish, when Scott and I make it, we're going to cast our friends. So that's just how it is. And luckily we're surrounded by friends that are talented and hardworking, not just connected Instagram famous people. So yeah, there's definitely personal biases, industry politics, that kind of goes without saying, and even straight up just nepotism. But like I said, I don't know what to say. But it's also, and then there's obviously all the limitations. It's not just age, race, gender, and even physical ability. It's gone a long ways for inclusion and gender and representation. But something like, at some point, there was something like 2% of the roles speaking roles in Hollywood went to actors with disabilities. Like I have a couple disabilities from injuries, but they're hidden, you know, so like that's staggering to think about that. So, and then there's the huge slippery slope. Neil Patrick Harris plays a straight character on a massively successful show. This is going to be my subjective approach to this. This is definitely opinionated. He's just acting. I have no problem with that. If he took my role, I don't give a crap. If his character's a straight dude and he acts like a straight dude, well, thumbs up. And I think it can go vice versa, because here's the slippery slope. This is a whole nother conversation. So if we have to only cast people that are X to play X, this is a little gross, and I apologize. So if you're a character in a movie that rapes somebody, does that mean they're only going to cast rapists? No, that's hideous. It's called acting. Are they going to cast me as a 6.5 foot tall guy to play a little person? No, I can't act that. That is a physical difference, you know? So it's a very, I'm glad I don't make the decisions as much as I wish I did, because I would give myself a career. You know, and so it's far from perfect, but what can they do to change it? Good casting directors, they recognize the bias that exists in the industry, and there are people working to dismantle them. But we also need to give more opportunities to the underrepresented groups and take chances of the on the unknown talent. Like, that's huge. I'm obviously saying that for me, but as a fan, and that's why I'm like my own worst enemy and critic, and I'm so stressed out because I can see all the sides of all these arguments. But as a fan of film and television, there's one certain actor, not because he's taking roles from me. I'm jealous of his career, but I'm sick of seeing this one actor all the time. You know, now he's doing a Disney remake. Like, I used to be inspired by this guy. I have his autobiography. Like, I really was. But now I'm just like, oh, he's in another freaking movie. Like, yeah, I won't get into it because I don't want to bash individuals. You might have already picked up on it. But so, yeah, it's a mess. You know, the casting process, it's far more complex and unfair than others give it credit for. I give it massive amount of credit for being unfair and complex. It's just, and it's sadly, and a lot of us, or at least people in my world, come from like work ethic and talent sometimes go hand in hand, and where talent drifts, work ethic compensates, you know. But it's a weird business because it's also about superficial looks and connections, and a lot of people get butthurt about that. And it's just like, I do when I'm being poo-poo lipped, but at the same time, it's no different to me than a race car driver and his car. Like, it's a tool, and so it is a superficial thing, but it's just a tool. So people need to separate themselves from the body or the image being. It's just you know, do you like that color of car? Do you like that aesthetic of this human? And it's effed up. Don't get me wrong. You know, but personal biases for sure are in there, and you know, but hopefully by acknowledging these issues, we can start to create like a more inclusive and fair industry for all. Not just fair, but I argue, as a consumer and as an actor, diversity not only in like type of human that you put in the role, but also just diversity in projects. Like, I love me some explosion Marvel movies and yada yada, but make me some drama, like some art house, some early Quentin Tarantino, some early, you know, good Godfather, Goodfellas, like stuff that they would not make that stuff anymore with unknown actors. And I miss those days, like the heydays, like a new movie, and it was always good, was coming out. Now it's got to be some giant blockbuster, and if it's nothing giant, it's a failure. And I'm like, I would love to go to the movies every week, at least twice a week. Now I go open the app, and I'm like, I guess I'll go to this. So anyway, tell me what you guys think about the casting process. If you have any personal experiences or opinions you'd like to share, let me know in the comments below. And if you like the video, please check out my other videos on anything. Hollywood ones will be populated soon. But as anybody can imagine with me, I've got plenty more where this came from. I keep very diligent notes, and I harbor a lot of resentment. And I'll try to transcend that into more of a dialogue and an entertaining discussion scenario. But yeah, thanks for your time. Again, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that crud. It helps me fight this algorithm I'm trying to fight, and we shall see what happens. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time and for watching and listening.